let's now begin, viewers, with Kerala. Kerala, slightly further removed from Puducherry, but very, very critical state. I think we can begin.
And what we've done there is that we've done a region-wise breakup of who is doing well there. So let's get those numbers straight away on our screens. First, take a look at the central region seat share. Here you have the LDF, which is going down by 2 seats. The UDF is making gains of 3 seats. Others are not in the contention anymore. So the UDF has some reason to cheer, at least in the central region. Now let's go on to the next one.
One second. I just want to spend 30 seconds on the central region. This, viewers, is the 2016 Assembly election map. Now, why is this important? This is the central region that we are talking about of Kerala. And you can see the red consolidation in this big belt here. Now, if these numbers hold, viewers, it's a very important area because traditionally the Congress has done better in the north of Kerala. This is the 2016 picture, and you can see that the Congress, which is represented by this sort of bluish grey color, did much better. Now, if this election has to be won by the LDF, they must hang on to this area and, of course, the south, where you can see a large number of constituencies stacked up for it. So the center holds the key to Kerala. And what you can see here is that the LDF is losing about 2 seats from last time, but not by much. It's the UDF which is gaining a little bit. It's the Congress-MIM alliance, which is IUML alliance, which is not perhaps characteristic, because we see that there are some seats here where in fact its alliance partner is helping it consolidate. So that's important.
So maybe this is the Rahul Gandhi effect.
Well, you could say it's the Rahul Gandhi effect, but he would have to win this state.
So let's see if they're actually doing that. Let's see what the other regions are like. If we're looking at the north then, this is as far as the center is concerned. In the north of Kerala, here is how things look as compared to last time around. The LDF is losing 9 seats here and the UDF is gaining 9. BJP not really making any inroads here as well. Others also are not in the running. So the LDF is ceding to the UDF, the Congress, here as well. Interesting numbers.
Here is a very interesting graphic, and I just want to again bring out the map here. You can see this is the districts of Kerala, the Muslim population. Now, why are we talking about this? Because if you look at the north, this is the north, these are darker shaded Muslim areas. So all of these areas, viewers, are areas where the Muslims are in a majority, and the Congress has tied up with the IUML. It's been generating a lot of chatter.
So you're saying, Rahul, it's giving them dividends?
It's giving them dividends.
So the IUML alliance is giving them dividends. 9 seats is pretty big.
That's what I'm saying. There's been a knock-on effect. So whoever has thought of this and taken the risk, because remember, the one thing the Congress doesn't want is to be called a Muslim party. But here you have a situation where they have tied up, as they have in the past, with the Indian Union Muslim League, and they seem to be reaping the dividends. But remember also, the left, Padmaja, here, has been towing a slightly soft Hindutva line.
Absolutely, they played it so smartly. Somebody said the other day that the left is more right than perhaps the BJP in Kerala. And it all started, remember, from Pattavananthitta, where that entire Sabarimala agitation happened. And you have now Pinarayi Vijayan. First, the UDF did a volte-face. Then you have Pinarayi Vijayan doing a volte-face, suddenly going soft on that issue. So, well, it doesn't seem to have paid off for them.
This is what the Congress is hoping for. This is all blue. This is the 2019 Lok Sabha Congress domination. So basically, viewers, what we've done here is we've transposed the Lok Sabha results on an assembly map. And you can see the coverage of the Congress. From top to bottom in Kerala, it's blue. This is not happening as of now, at least in 2 of these. Now, what we've done, viewers, is we projected for about 101 seats out of 140. And you can see it's even Steven, very close fight right now. You can see the LDF at 48, the UDF at 53. So very tight race.
So the final region left now is the south. Let's see if the Congress has done well, has managed to take seats away there as well. Yes, they have. The Congress again here gaining about 3 seats, which is going from the LDF's kitty. Actually, BJP pretty much staying where they were in the last election. The only place where they have managed to open their account, according to this poll, is the South region, where they have 1 seat earlier.
That particular seat that might go to the BJP is the one that they won last time, which is in the near about regions of Thiruvananthapuram, Nimon. So that is that one seat which looks as if it's going back to the BJP, but the BJP will be a bit disappointed by this number, to be honest.
One more. It would be interesting, though, to see what their vote share is.
We will be coming to that.
Because I remember last time...
Let's project it. Yeah. So what we are saying right now, viewers, is that the LDF is coming back to power, which will be historic, because Kerala is one of those states where power...
It goes one way and then the other, goes one way then the other.
So you've seen the opposite with the Congress. And Punjab, of course, you know, Captain Amrinder Singh comes back. He defies a trend. But here you're seeing in Kerala, unfortunately, the Congress not being able to form the government.
So
At least
they
this is what is projected.
They have made gains of 15 seats, mostly all from the LDF.
That's right.
But still not good enough. So Rahul, net, it would be interesting to hear leaders of the Congress on whether they really think the risk was worth it. Remember, Kerala, Puducherry are not the only places which are going to polls. You also have to go face the voter in a West Bengal, where the same example will be held up of how they went with a party like the IUML, the Welfare Party, etc. they have allied with. Will there be an effect of this?
Well, let's go to the well.
States?
Let's go to the well, because you were talking about the vote shares, and this is what we are seeing. That is what we're seeing. There it is on the screen there. The boat has swung in. The boat is sinking for the Congress. It is certainly floating even now for the LDF, the left. The left will be mighty pleased by this turnaround in its own fortunes.
Mr. Gandhi had gone swimming. Maybe he should have also tried his hand at rowing the boat, because they're just about keeping afloat, but not managing to make it past the finish line. And a depleted LDF seems to have taken a collected risk, Rahul. They might have lost a few seats. They might be down by about, say, 30 seats as compared to last time, but they are still in pole position when it comes to Kerala.
Well, you're getting your feet wet already, Padmaja. But what is very interesting is that Rahul Gandhi, as you said, should have got his oars out, because the boat is really not going for him very far, isn't it? And that's really where the problem is. And let's just
can I use a really tired pun and look at the boat share now?
Okay, so that's an interesting one. But, you know, a Congress CM Mukh South, and this is what the numbers are looking like. Just look at this. Unfortunately for the Congress, this is not good for the Congress party. You can see, viewers, right here on top, you can see the consolidation hasn't happened, even though they continued with the IUML. It appears that, as you were saying, Padmaja, the left playing this game very, very cleverly, deciding that they were going to tread a little bit on the path of
and maybe lose a
Hindu consolidation. The Christians also backing them in this. And yes, you obviously stood the chance of perhaps losing some of the moderate Hindu vote, but I don't think it's turned out to be such a bad gamble. At least if you look at the C voter projection here, you're seeing 77 for the LDF, pretty comfortable. I know it's a tight election, viewers, but just coming back means that history is being rewritten after about 35 years in Kerala. That hasn't happened in about 35 years. Viewers, very, very quickly, let's just look at the vote share, because that's really, really critical. Nizam bhai, if you can just pull out the vote share, let's go back to the big wall and let's have a look at this. The vote share, very, very interesting. The LDF only losing about 1% of their vote. Braj bhai is also coming in. And just not much of a change for the Congress, but not really transferring a lot of that.
So what the LDF has done does seem intelligent in hindsight. Going by this, their vote share has gone down by a very marginal 1.1. And this is the point I was making. I think the BJP would take some consolation in the fact that at least their vote share has gone up. This is a difficult
It's the only party growing.
Exactly. So
it's the only party growing. Both others, fronts are shrinking. It's the only one growing. And very interestingly, viewers, it is grown almost 1.5%. This is not insignificant for a party that's really not very well spread out. This is not insignificant. It's contesting most of the seats, but quite significantly gaining that 1.5%.
Well, they can look for this opportunity in adversity, as the Prime Minister puts it. You might not be anywhere close to forming the government, get only one seat, but consistently over the last few elections, including the Lok Sabha, their vote share has only grown, not gone down.
It is actually tacked on in some cases to the LDF. So LDF should actually be thanking the BJP to some extent. But look, a tri-poll now pretty much being established in Kerala. That's what it is, really. It's come down to. Let's open this up a little bit. Let's go across to some of our guests. Let's get a sense of what to make of this. Let me first bring in Mr. Raja Gopalan and Shekhar Iyer. Mr. Shekhar Iyer, also Suman C. Raman there with us. Mr. Shekhar Iyer, look at these numbers. 77 for the LDF, UDF 62, BJP 1. May not be gaining incrementally in seats, but certainly in vote share, the only growing formation of party. How do you see this?
Well, Rahul, it shows the state of affairs of the Congress particularly. What should have been an easy win after the Lok Sabha elections of 2019. We are seeing that Congress is on the grips, lacking strategy and trying to play two cards. One, they are accusing the CPM and BJP of a secret understanding. On the other hand, they are also trying to woo the Hindu votes by saying that they will bring a law to ban women into Sabarimala. I mean, I do not know what card they are playing because for the Congress to revive, in a decisive manner, they have to get back the traditional votes, the best traditional votes of upper caste Nayars as well as Christians, and of course Muslim votes comes way of Muslim League. But there too, I can see that LDF has been making some inroads into Muslim pockets. So,
in many states now, people are left wondering which is the core voter, which is this traditional voter that the Congress is trying to appeal to. Suman C. Raman, it's only fitting that we are showing a boat here because perhaps there's a message that you cannot ride two boats at the same time without sinking miserably.
No, I'm not too convinced about the exit poll about the opinion poll, because look, at the end of the day, a change of 7 seats effectively changes who is going to be in power. So I'm not too sure that we can sort of write the UDF off.
What do you think?
Remember,
do you think the UDF is going to be 100 plus?
Always has been voting for a...
What is your assessment? You think the Congress will be, UDF will be 100 plus?
UDF being 100 plus at all. The talk on the ground, no, I think it could be a very, very close fight to the finish, and the UDF could end up pipping the LDF at the post. I'm not certainly expecting the UDF to sweep the election. That's not going to happen. But when you're talking of a razor thin margins in many seats, it is possible, especially when your poll actually is predicting 77-62, effectively giving the LDF a majority of 7 seats. I don't think that you can write off the UDF.
Mr. Sebastian Paul, former MP of the CPM, has to say about this. So the Congress supporter, Mr. Suman C. Raman, thinks that this is still up for grabs. Mr. Paul.
43%
Let
vote share in
Paul quickly
2019.
respond to you, then you finish your second point. Yes, Mr. Paul.
But I think the Times Now projection is almost accurate, or it is close to reality. We are all expecting, because the 71 is the magic number in Kerala, we are expecting nearly 80 seats for the LDF, it is sure. That is all the poll surveys project such a figure. Because the shifting of the people is very evident here, what you are explaining here. The Muslim vote, the Christian vote, all those things are there. But apart from that, the Pinarayi Vijayan government or the CPM party, the LDF, is surely on the mark for a repetition or the continuity in government. So in that way, this projection of 77-62 is close to reality, and there is absolutely no chance of any further swing or deterioration in these numbers.
We can obviously debate whether the poll is accurate or not, but the fundamental point here, and Sanjay Jha, I want to weave you into this, Rahul Gandhi, if these numbers hold, and we are going to back our survey, obviously, this opinion survey. If these numbers hold, then Rahul Gandhi is becoming an expert in snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. This should have actually been an election where he should have been, at least if you just look at history, he should have been trotting home. He should have been taking his party. He's even moved base from, Amethi down to Wayanad. He's been doing everything possible out there to put the message of the Congress IUML coalition out there. Why is he not being taken seriously once again?
Well, Rahul, I think if these predictions hold, and I'm not going to dispute the findings because it is largely consistent with the general trends that a lot of people have forecasted on, it'll be a very massive disappointment for the Congress because number one, it's not just because Mr. Gandhi is an elected MP from Wayanad, but the fact that the Congress did extraordinarily well in the Lok Sabha elections just 2 years ago. Now, I agree that, that time the Sabarimala issue whipped up a lot of emotional sentiment. But the fact remains that, and this is, I think, the elephant in the room that we need to factor in, is that Mr. Vijayan has managed to somewhere mesmerize a lot of the undecided voters into his governance style. I think whether it was the initial battle against the COVID pandemic or the handling of the floods, people see him as a more reassuring figure. And I think somewhere, the Congress's ambivalent secularism is perhaps beginning to hurt it. The bottom line is that,
the problem, I think you've hit it on the, you've hit the nail on the head. Sanjay Jha, it's this ambivalence. It is this ambivalence. Shahzad Poonawalla, does this open up? And I want to bring you in on this. Legitimate questions about leadership of the Gandhis now. G23, one of the spokespeople of the G23 is on our panel. He's saying this is going to really raise question marks about the legitimacy of the Gandhis.
Absolutely. Addressing that question first, Rahul, because you made a very insightful point about the BJP and the left also, so coming to that later. But yes, absolutely. Congress will have to answer questions, particularly its leadership, about not being able to control the factional fights. And especially today, the Congress should have projected Mr. Chennithala. Let me explain to you why. Every time the Congress has been winning an election in Kerala, 2001 cycle, 2011 cycle, it's been scoring a strike rate of less than 50%. This is basically happening because a large amount of the Congress core voters have been getting upset that IUML is getting an increasing space in UDF. This is why Kerala Congress money also shifted out and they are losing Christian votes also. Apart from that, since 1995 onwards, Kerala Congress party in Kerala has not had a Hindu chief minister. Think about it. Karunakaran was the last chief minister. Therefore, the Hindu votes have not particularly shifted to the left. There is 50% Hindu voters, 53% Hindu voters. The left is there. The BJP is now an option. It's grown from 4% to 16% as per our polls in Times, not this time. But the Hindu thinks that now what do I do? The Hindus are upset. The Christians are upset. With one second, Padmaja, let me just complete.
Reassuring, who has something to offer, who has something concrete to offer by way of governance.
The IUML's presence in the alliance discomforts Christians and Hindus. A, you have not been able to control internal factional fights. B, in the local polls, you already suffered a setback. You still did not take any action. You do not project Hindu like Chennithala as the chief minister face. You continue to let people like Chacko leave your party. And ultimately, Rahul has to take the responsibility for it.
Okay, Mr. Raman, you respond to that. Then we'll get to Mr. Rajgopalan. Mr. Raman, ambivalent secularism. I think that's very
call it counterfeit secularism.
One.
They will not accept counterfeit, but
call it counterfeit secularism. Call it what it is. You can't run with the religious hair and hunt with the, I'm sorry to say, but with the secularism hound.
No, I don't.
Mr. Raman.
Look, the reason why the Congress is not projecting Ramesh Chennithala is because they feel that he is not able to be on the same pedestal as Pinarayi Vijayan. And they feel that it will harm their chances if they sort of openly go and start projecting Ramesh Chennithala as a chief ministerial candidate. And that's the reason.
But
I want to give you a word of caution. I know Parliament
as opposed to the other stalwarts who they projected. Mr. Rajgopalan. No, let Mr. Rajgopalan quickly respond to your stalwart point. Then I'll let you finish. Mr. Rajgopalan.
Ramesh Chennithala is a very tall leader. As Shehzad said, Poonawalla said, after Karunakaran, it is Chennithala who can rule the state. And moreover, certain people in our panel, especially they are in dreamland. They say that Chennithala lost the game. I don't think so. Apart from that, I want to ask one question to the CPM panelists. Why did they withdraw the case of Sabarimala? Number one. Are they taking a Hindu stand? Number two, the Pinnarai region effectively handled this Sabarimala issue that paid dividends to CPM. And that is the loss for Congress as well as to the BJP.
CPM will conveniently sidestep it. Let's still try and attempt an answer from Mr. Sebastian Paul. Yes, sir. Why did you withdraw those Sabarimala cases?
No, we are not banking on Sabarimala for this election campaign because it has no impact. As per our estimation, Sabarimala is not a factor determining the votes or shifting of votes.
This is an election of paradoxes. This is an election of paradoxes. The left clutching at religious straws, the Congress that says that religion has no role in politics, also clutching at the religious, grasping the religious hand. Look, let's be honest. You played tactically your game better. Come out and admit to it.
Mr. Paul.
No, because after Sabarimala was the 2019 Lok Sabha election and the BJP, which spearheaded the agitation, they got nothing. And the Congress, who was remaining in the sidelines,
the Congress
they got
shadow
seats
supported, barring
Mr.
Shashi Tharoor. Everyone else, the state leadership of the Congress, totally backed the Sabarimala, the anti-entry of women agitation, and they reaped dividends in the Lok Sabha election. Mr. Rajgopalan, do you think that maybe the CPM very cleverly took a page out of the state leadership of UDF's book and said, listen, it pays to either keep quiet or tacitly support the pro-Sabarimala group?
No, the second one, they tactically supported, and Pinnarai Vijayan handled it very effectively. And he outsmarted Congress as well as Mr. Rahul Gandhi. That is what I want to say. Second thing, today Amit Shah is in Kerala.
Religion taking precedence over rights for the left. This is rather strange.
Even the Congress,
absolutely,
everyone plays a double game in this.
Absolutely. Let me just very quickly, that's why I called it an election of paradoxes. Let's just take a very quick break. We'll be right back. We're going to look now at the reasons. We put 5 questions to the voters in Kerala, viewers, their responses, and that will tell you why we're seeing the result that we're seeing. First reaction to the poll comes from the Bharatiya Janata Party's chief ministerial face. The Metro Man reacting. Let's play that out.
None of these forecasts have proved true, really speaking. These are all guess estimates. I don't believe so. Definitely BJP will give a very good show this time.
What makes you believe that the BJP will do well? What makes you believe? What is the response on ground that you're receiving?
Because on the ground only I find people are really fed up with the two governments, LDF, and they want to change. Of course, there are some hardcore people, they will not change. But there are many people who are sitting neither that way or that way, that all those people will come to BJP.
Well, there's only one thing consistent about all opinion polls down the years is that anyone, barring the person who's shown as the winner, says we doubt the outcome of this poll. But let me get in Tuhin Sinha and Mr. Narayan Tirupati. Both of them are here with us on the panel. Mr. Narayan Tirupati, let me come to you. One seat existing, one seat projected. What's the outcome then? So much effort, everyone from Yogi Adityanath to, Amit Shah has been doing the rounds of Kerala, but to what end?
So we have seen what happened in Tripura, we have seen what happened in other places, in Delhi also. See, there are so many instances, so many elections happen. But as far as Kerala is concerned, we have been growing, we have been getting more and more percentage of votes, even up to 17-18% we have got. So definitely, we are very, very sure that we are going to do wonderfully well.
Actually, even now your vote share is showing an increase according to these projections of just about, if we take a look at your vote share, the projection right now is about 1.5% increase. You were at 14.9 and you will possibly get about 16.4. Do you find that satisfactory, Mr. Tirupati?
Anything above 3-4% will definitely, have a very big swing, definitely. So I think we will definitely do better.
Mr. Rajagopalan. Mr. Rajagopalan, are these, do you believe, and I'm asking you now, be very objective. I'm asking you, do you believe that the BJP is being underestimated in this survey? Could it be possible that, in fact, the UDF might actually not be getting 38.8 or 38.6%, but even less number of seats because perhaps Hindus might be moving away from the Congress fold to the BJP? Is it possible?
It is definitely possible. As Sridharan told Madhav, and what Tirupati Narayanan also said, I agree with them, there will be a slight swing. But very cleverly, the withdrawal of Sabarimala case by the Pinarayi CPM government has taken away BJP votes to CPM. That Hindu votes which were not going to Congress are going to CPM. That is a very clever ploy Mr. Pinarayi Vijayan played. That is why BJP is using. BJP is...
So everyone is playing the religion card, just that some people are upfront and other people are being...
But when they're upfront, they're communal.
They're upfront, they're communal, but when they are not upfront, then they are secular. Well, let's ask that question, in fact. Let's ask the question straight off the IUML representative, Mr. Babu. Mr. Babu, if you're there, if you can hear me, in fact, I don't see him on the screen, but I'll just come out to him. Nizam bhai, if you can just put him through. Let's just quickly go and look at some of the qualitative questions that we put out and get a sense, really, of what is the opinion, the mood in Kerala. What are they actually voting for? The Congress IUML tie-up, problem for voters? Well, no say 36%, but look at the undecided. Look at the undecided, 33 point. Ambivalence.
And polling day still some way away.
This is ambivalence.
Yeah.
This is ambivalence. This is the vote that the BJP might be looking at very closely.
And this might be the core voter of the Congress who's left wondering, what really is this party
What
thinking?
really is this party all about?
Why are they allying with the IUML?
Absolutely.
Is this alliance, aligned with my beliefs?
1 in 3 voters, Padmaja, has a problem with this. 1 in 3 voters. So you are looking at a situation where people are very polarized equally. Some people are undecided.
It's almost like one-third, one-third, one-third.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Equal polarization. Every third person has a different opinion on this question, which is very, very significant. Let's go back to our panel. If Mr. Babu is there, I would like to bring him in. If he's not, I want to go back to Dr. Anand, So Sumansi Raman. Dr. Raman, let me ask you. This is what we are saying. This is what has been happening from Assam down to Kerala now for the Congress party. Everyone else is communal. If Yogi Adityanath steps in and talks about Jai Sri Ram, he's communal. But when you are in alliance with the IUML, you are expanding the secular space. How does this work, this contradiction?
Rahul, first of all, I don't believe the answers to this question at all, for the simple reason the Congress and the IUML have been part of the UDF for decades. It's not just suddenly that the Congress has tied up with the Indian Union Muslim League to form the UDF.
No. But the context is changing very quickly. The context is changing. Today the context has changed. What was seen by voters as... listen to me. Just let me finish my point. You can respond. The context is changing. Sir, we can have a difference of opinion, but let's listen to my question. The context is this, that today this is being called out for what it is. This is being called out as counterfeit secularism by a party that is very upfront about calling out this paradox, which really is the BJP. They're the ones who are growing in that state. What does it tell you, sir? That appeasement is no longer winning.
Well, BJP, as far as we can see, BJP, as far as we can see, has reached some kind of a plateau in Kerala. They haven't been zooming up as was once expected. That between 14 and 15% is where they seem to have sort of reasonably stagnated. Now, the point you also have to understand is, in the 2019 Lok Sabha elections, and I know that Lok Sabha elections are no indication, the UDF percentage vote share was more than 6% higher than the LDF percentage vote share, and they swept the state. So you have to factor in all those things when a alliance is formed. And the alliance's most recent performance is winning 19 out of 20.
Dr. Sumanshi Raman, Sanjay Jha is a congressman and he's telling you there is a problem. He's not a counterfeit. We haven't faked him. He's still sitting there. He will come into this conversation right after Shehzad, but pay attention to what others are saying. It's very important. The Congress must hear.
It is true that the IUML has been for a long time an ally of the UDF, of the Congress party. But why did Mr. Kerala Congress Mani leave this time? It is because there has been a growing space to the IUML at the cost of all other communities, including the Hindu community. These undecided voters, I wish you had a religious breakup of it. You would find it's large number of Hindus that are undecided, not knowing whether to defeat the left, they should go with the Congress anymore. And the BJP would be very happy with these results.
Let's bring out the regional data. Let's go back to North Kerala.
The BJP today would be celebrating with the left because this indicates in 2026 they are the leading opposition party. They are the next leading opposition party. This is the outcome of this result.
Let's bring in the North data. Let's have a look at the center. This is a central region. This is a region where I told you the left really needs to retain, and it's doing a fairly good job. Remember, incumbency is staring it in its face. There has been a lot of talk, viewers, about gold scams, this, that, the other. And it has also been, of course, emphasized by routine raids, etc.
No, but and the spike in COVID numbers couldn't have come at the worst time.
Absolutely, couldn't have come. But he seems to be at least holding out. But let's look at North Kerala. This North Kerala region is what holds the key today, because the Congress is gambling on this particular region. Look at this. The LDF down 9, the Congress gaining 9. But the problem here is, viewers, that you see also, let's pull out the vote share, you see, viewers, very, very easily, there has been a complete swap. What is swapping? It is Muslim support for the IUML that has gone, but not at the gain of the Congress. It's not the Congress that is gaining. It is the IUML that is gaining. Because that's exactly...
Which is the classic case of penny wise, pound foolish.
Absolutely.
You will see for your alliance a jump of 9 seats in this region, but look at A, it's not enough to get you in power in Kerala, and B, it will damage you in the long term given your voter loyalty.
The BJP is gaining 0.3% here in this area, which is in some constituencies 75% dominated by Muslims, viewers. So even the BJP is picking up. What does that tell you? Polarization is happening. Congress playing polarization politics and then going around tarring everyone with a communal brush. Sanjay Jha, please respond to this. Tell us that in your book, that is not the problem. And I will then say that you will be dishonest. But you will say it's your problem, and it is a big problem, and then I will give you, sir, full marks for honesty. Rahul Gandhi won't, but I will.
Okay, I have to make a choice between two Rahuls. Very simply put, Rahul, is this. God's own country, as we call Kerala, is actually a brilliant manifestation of what is considered to be a secular India. 45% of the votes are minorities, 55% votes are Hindus, and it's a very eclectic mix. Now, ideally for the Congress party, this is a boilerplate, a perfect template for making your pitch, saying that, listen, I'm a genuine secular party, so I get all the minority votes, and I also get a large section of the majority votes. So I think for the Congress, the big worry here, Rahul, is that gradually the minorities seem to be finding the Congress extremely wishy-washy. And today, I think a lot of the majority votes in Kerala believe that they will be, if the BJP is doing a lot of aggressive polarization in Kerala, they believe they might be protected more by the left than the UDF. Now, this could be the most...
Mr. Faisal Babu, now the time for ambivalent secularism is over. You have to take sides. And it seems at least you will gain from it. Your party will gain from it. The same can't be said for the Congress.
Madam, I'm not getting you. Please just repeat the question.
The question is that right now, the era of trying to sit on the fence on the issue of secularism is over. You cannot be ambivalent about it. You have to define where you stand. And it pays off. And it has paid off for you, the IUML, by the looks of these numbers. The same can't be said for the Congress.
Yes, we are concerned about the law and order of the developmental politics, not any kind of the polarization politics. Kerala people is extremely concerned about the development and the law and order. So BJP cannot win their communal card.
You know, Padmaja is very kind to you, sir. I will not be as kind. I will be a little more abrasive. And I'm going to say, sir, why is it that parties like the MIM, ISF, AIUDF feel the need to represent Muslims when you have such a beautiful, secular, eclectic Congress party? Why do you need the Congress then? Why are you in the business? Let it be. Join the Congress. They're such a good party.
Question to me.
Yes. Do you believe the Congress is doing justice to the Muslim community? Today, speak, sir. Tell me. Why are we seeing ISF growing in Bengal or emerging? Why are we seeing the AUDF or MIM growing all over the country? If you believe, sir, if all Muslims believe the Congress is such an upright, secular outfit, why do we need you?
Yes, Congress party, they are addressing the politics of the all segments. Simply what we are calling the identity politics. The entire different class and the different region, religion, language, and the different identity, representing the different identities. So, ISF is a platform of the minority.
No, but why aren't you joining them? Why don't you merge your outfit with the Congress party? If it's such a lovely, secular, open, inclusive party, why do we need you? Simple question. Or why do you need the Congress? Join it.
Yes, Congress is the only one organization, that a high credible organization to fight against the BJP polarization politics. Whatever the problems, and the Congress party is having the tradition, and they are having the credibility in terms of the secularism.
You don't have credibility.
No. I'm talking about the Congress is the forefront organization. Congress is just like they can do the role of the the umbrella organization.
You can do your communal politics under the patronage of its secular burqa.
Let me bring in Sanjay Jha. Sanjay Jha, why do we need the ISF? Why is Owaisi so upset with the Congress party? Would you like to tell Mr. Babu this?
Well, I think, Rahul, I'll be honest, I'm a genuine secularist, and I believe that, when we started practicing Janodhari politics, I think my senior colleague Shashi Tharoor was right when he mentioned that we cannot imitate the BJP. You can't suddenly become, Hindutva light party. I mean, the fact remains that the Congress did abandon its true secular character. I think we did make political compromises. And today, that's the reason why Mr. Owaisi did well in Bihar, and why I think the identity politics is going to be the future for at least till the next elections. Because
so let me bring in Shekhar here. Do you believe the IUML today is doing a disservice to the Muslim community by holding hands with the Congress?
Rahul, what we have not discussed yet is not just Congress IUML pact, which is old. You know that there is a factor called Jamaat-e-Islami, which is also very active in Kerala through the Welfare Party. And in fact, it is CPM which has been accusing Congress of doing Muslim communal politics. And in turn, you find Congress accusing CPM of Islamophobia. So, it is all easy to say that in the God's own land, there is no polarization. In fact, in Kerala, the politics is highly polarized in a very sophisticated way. Parties have been working around communities in this way for the last 20 years. But what is happening now is, because of the Sabarimala episode, the traditional Hindu vote, which always stayed with the CPM, because CPM in Kerala is considered the Hindu party, that moved away. So therefore, you saw Pinarayi Vijayan withdrawing cases, the Devaswam Minister Surendran apologizing, expressing regret. All the while, when Sitaram Yechuri in Delhi, he's shocked. He's surprised. Yeah. He says, I don't know why.
Interesting, isn't it, Mr. Tirupati? It's almost like the so-called secular parties prepared the playing ground for your party. They are fighting with each other to prove who is more religiously inclined, while you sit pretty.
No, we are not sitting pretty. See, we have seen with the Sabarimala issue what happened. Both the CPM and also the Congress trying to take the advantage of the Sabarimala issue. And we saw what communists did for this Orthodox case, this church case. So we have seen the communists and also the communal Congress, what they have done. The pseudo-secularists claim...
Did you expect them to suddenly start going soft on Sabarimala? By doing that, they seem to have stolen a march over you.
No, we saw Congress doing that, but, communists were forced after the intervention of the courts and also the fight given by the protest by the BJP and all those things. Definitely.
Okay, let's very quickly on this point, Padmaja, let's just quickly talk through some of the other qualitative questions.
Will Kerala back BJP's Hindutva tilt? Big impact is 1/4, which is still a growth from earlier, where people would have scoffed at this question.
Yes.
3 years ago, they would have said, what rubbish. We do not vote along religious lines at all. But 1/4 of the population says, yes, big impact. Half of them say little impact. It's only 10% who say, forget about it. This is a very, very different state.
Look at the number of undecideds, much less than the previous question, viewers. You see, there is a stacking up that is taking place where religious identity politics is beginning to resonate somewhere with the voters.
3/4 of them are saying it will have
some impact. You will
little
go
impact or big impact, but
yes,
some impact.
Like
I said 3 years ago, people in Kerala, anyone you spoke to, they would have said this is the most inane question to be asked in Kerala because we are ideologically
and the
divided,
question is very direct,
not on religion.
Hindutva tilt.
Yeah.
So why is it that certain Hindus in Kerala today are feeling a little overwhelmed, perhaps a little insecure? That's the question, viewers. If there was secular politics being played by the left and the Congress, right to the T in spirit and letter, you would not have Hindu insecurity. Let's look at some of the other questions. Very, very interesting questions, bringing us very, very interesting insights.
Will love jihad issue impact Kerala? All right, so 16% say will help, 17% say will hurt, and 53% still think it will have no impact. Will it impact Kerala? Impact who? The BJP?
Yes, impact the BJP in Kerala.
So 16% think it will help the BJP, 17% think it will hurt the BJP, 12% are still undecided.
Let's have a look at the next one. All of this is telling you, viewers, a story. It is telling you that religion today is becoming a component of political choice in Kerala.
So who's your CM pick? 39.3%, and this will make the CPM smile. Almost 40% are still going with Pinarayi Vijayan. He could be on the verge of making history. And almost half of that, 26%, think Uman Chandi is good. 8.8% Mullapalli Ramachandran. And then you have KK Shailja, Ramesh Chennithala. Shashi Tharoor, for some reason, has polled more votes than even Ramesh Chennithala and KK Shailja. Well, he still has quite a loyal constituency there in Kerala. So Pinarayi Vijayan there, still the clear favourite, and in fact one of his ministers who was the face of the way the left government handled the COVID crisis also has a creditable 4.1%. People won't mind seeing her as the chief minister. Very much satisfied. Okay, so the next question, are you satisfied with the NDA's performance? At the center, there is 23.88% who are very satisfied, 32% who are satisfied to some extent, 42% are not satisfied.
So it's an even.
Evenly divided.
There is obviously more support for the Prime Minister's policies, but it's quite in the balance.
And here's the reason why Pinarayi Vijayan still remains the choice of almost 40% people, because 41.64 say we are very happy with the way that he has performed. And mind you, the number of allegations, gold scam, COVID mishandling, what have you, despite everything, he seems to be like Teflon. 41% says we're happy. Done a good job.
Well, let's have a look at the last one, the CM rating. This is an approval rating, viewers. There you go. Rate the CM's work. 44.72%, as we just said, think that the CM's doing a good job. The last one, viewers, is the interesting one. And that is the one that we specifically polled to give you a sense, really, about Rahul Gandhi's own, or the people's view on Rahul Gandhi. And are they happy with his vote? Very much satisfied, 31.32%. Some satisfied. So between these two, there seems to be goodwill for Rahul Gandhi. Can he generate votes on the back of that goodwill is the fundamental question as of now.
Sabarimala would be hoping that that gap between the LDF and the UDF numbers, this 60% goodwill that we see, is going to bridge that gap. And actually, Mr. Gandhi is going to take the Congress across the finish line, won't you, Mr. Raman?
Padmaja.
So happy. Do you agree with this finding, or do you dispute this finding also?
Yeah,
you disputed 99.99% of our findings. Now you can't agree with this, Mr. Raman.
No, I'm not dispute. No, I haven't disputed. In fact, my claim on Ramesh Chennithala has been vindicated. 2.3% prefer him as a chief minister against 39.3% for Pinarayi Vijayan. And I think
add up all the Hindu
Mr. Rajagopal owes me an apology
Congress,
for that.
It's 20%.
Okay, now the point really,
add up all the Hindus of the Congress party. Let's go back to that graphic I'll show you.
One second.
Shashi Tharoor
This election,
plus Mr. Chainitala plus
one second,
Mullapalli
one
Ramachandran.
second. Let me finish, sir. Let me finish.
Let's come to the point of Rahul Gandhi's rating. Yes.
You'll have to look very carefully at the BJP vote. Before that, one quick point. If the BJP does see a surge in this election in terms of vote share, 2-3% more than before, I think the UDF will be able to swing the 7 or 8 seats that your opinion poll shows them being short. Now, if the BJP, if there is tactical voting, and we have often seen tactical voting in Kerala, mind you. So people in local
Big ifs. We are going to take a very short break at this point, viewers.
But may I say that Mr. Raman is now counting on the BJP performing well for the UDF to form the government. The days we are living in these days. Anyhow, what a time to be alive. Taking a very quick break. Back in a minute, and we've got the numbers for Tamil Nadu coming up. Again, one delicious election playing out there. Don't go anywhere.